because now I'm trained to.
All right. Well, I think we are live.
Oh shit, we're live.
Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. Welcome to a special Hangout Copy That stream where we are going to review Super Bowl ads with our resident brand copy expert, Mr. Alex Myatt. No, I'm kidding. Rod. Rod is the
No,
one.
it's him. It's him. It's not me.
No, it's who even knows anymore.
Watch TV.
Really quick, before we get started, as you can see, I'm kind of trying out a new setup. So please tell me in the chat if you hear an echo or if everything sounds okay or what. Just hit a Y in the chat if everything's going okay.
Come on, you can't just say hit Y. You got to say, come on, smash yes in the chat if you like this stream, guys.
Smash Y in the chat if everything sounds good.
You know what? If it sounds good, press the like button on the stream. That's what they should do.
I think I should go and sign up to the Patreon if it sounds that good. That's the quickest plug we've ever had.
That's terrible.
You're so good at this.
Oh my God.
Fine.
Lovely.
Okay, it's all good. It's all good.
So, very simply, just to explain to, how should I say, the vast majority of the world, the American Super Bowl is one of the largest televised events in the United States. It is watched by, Rod, is it like over 100 million people or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's between 120 and 150.
Yeah, so more people watch the Super Bowl than vote in this country. And so one of the things that a lot of people do, a lot of businesses try to do, is they'll overspend on media, especially commercials, to go with the Super Bowl because they, like good marketers, want to show their products where people are. So you follow the eyeballs. And where are the eyeballs? Well, on Super Bowl Sunday, it's during the Super Bowl. And so it is, as Alex has pointed out in the past, just absolutely ridden with commercials and sponsorships and so terribly much commercialization that even he was uncomfortable, and he works in marketing.
Yeah.
And so what do you guys have to say or add about, to give context for what we're about to do today?
I mean, like, I'll let Rod go last since his opinion is going to give the biggest weight to this. So, for me, like, I didn't full disclaimer. I have never watched the Super Bowl, and I've heard of it obviously, but I watched a clip of it, maybe like a 5-minute clip of it this year. And my God, it's not even a sport. It's just like the game stops. It cuts to like SpongeBob and like Dora the Explorer, and then like a Bud Light ad, and then there are men change on the field for some reason. Like some come on and some go off, and then they kind of kick it a bit, but then they stop again. So I don't really know what was going on, but I hear there are ads, and with our brains, which 2/3 of which are not seasoned towards brand advertising too much, we're going to kind of just give you our take on them, I guess, and I'm going to be trying to view them from a very, very cynical standpoint. I'm going to be the cynic of this group because I know Rod is going to be the kind of brand ambassador, literally the brand ambassador. Sean is going to be balanced and wise as he always is. I'm going to be extremely cynical and just taking the piss out of them and saying, well, how is this going to sell anything? And I think that will give us a good dynamic for the stream. So that's where I'm coming from watching these ads.
I love to hear that because typically I'm the one that's giving the unhinged take. So I'm looking forward to your most brutal takedowns of brand advertising.
I'm looking forward to this, actually. There were a number of commercials. So full disclosure, I watched the Super Bowl. So I saw all this live, and then I rewatched some of the commercials after. There was some good stuff. And also there were a lot of examples, I think, of just really good copywriting, like really good examples that people can use, whether they're writing commercials or writing VSLs or video ads, or even just regular ass copy. And as we go through these, one of the things that I want to do is actually pull out like, hey, person who just wants to write emails for coaches, look at what this commercial is doing. It is not different from what you want to do, except it's doing it better. And let's talk about why.
Yeah. I do have one thing I want to add to this because it's really easy to look at brand advertising, but particularly brand advertising in big moments like this through the lens of our direct response bias and be incredibly cynical about the work that people are doing. But I would appeal to not just you guys, but just generally to people who might be critical, like some people who write emails about this kind of thing. That
are they named Chris?
Yes, they might be named Chris or Zachowski.
Or Zachowski. Yeah.
Or Zachowski. You have to keep in mind that when you are marketing to an audience of 120 million people, that the reason that ads can feel soft or pandering is because people are literally trying to pander to as many people as possible because the ads cost like $10 million to run. Yeah. It's not because of some like evil elite agenda or whatever. It's because literally your advertisement costs $10 million to run and you want to get as much like ROI on that as possible. It's not,
yeah. Direct response specializes in like everything is direct response. Like a push notifications is direct response. So I'm talking generally about like direct response as applied to niche advertising, especially online and digital advertising. Like one of the best ways to sell like a small product or info product or like a novelty product is to polarize, to appeal to a very small group of people and try to get them as hyped up and excited about a product as possible. That's like what engagement and value emails are for. You don't want to do that if you're selling Coca-Cola.
Yeah, or Bud Light for that matter.
Hey.
I mean, like if they're not writing for their audience in any of these, I'm going to be very, very angry. I'll just put it like that. So let's crack into it.
All right, let's do it.
One thing we should do is like say like who do we think the audience is for each of these ads?
So this is a fun game that I play whenever I watch Super Bowl ads as they air live. I specifically try to identify, and I wonder if there's a way that I can like shift the screen a little bit. I try to identify what the product is first before, but I don't think that's going to be possible for the simple reason that this is visible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. But.
So let's just get started. I thought, what better place to start than a Super Bowl ad for the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Let's go as meta as possible. All right. Everybody in the chat, let me know if you can hear it or if there's any audio. Again, testing a new setup, so let me know how it goes.
Welcome back to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Tony, what do you think?
Quincy,
can anybody hear this?
It's 2 a.m. You have school tomorrow. Get some rest.
See you tomorrow, Saquon.
You got it, Quessy.
His name is Quincy. The crowd goes wild.
Hey, Quincy.
Quincy, your son's fantasies are going to destroy my house. Spin move. Quincy, take the snap. Hike. Here comes Fred Warner.
I'm open.
He's got Jefferson.
All right. Hit the gritty?
Nah, hit the Quincy.
Where is that ball going?
Nobody was little number.
Oh no!
Bring it, little man.
Damn, Jordan!
I'll see you tomorrow, Quincy.
Quincy's in trouble.
I got you.
These pitches into Saquon. No! My ball!
That's on you, bro. Besides, I'm not even real. Is this your ball? What's your name?
Quincy.
Quincy. I'm OC. I know that look. I know that dream. I had the same one. See, Quincy, doesn't have to be a dream anymore. Doesn't matter where you're born, as long as you're born to play.
Just making sure you were real.
I feel like I was enjoying it to like, you know, the narrative was predictable, but it was nice, fluffy. I hated how on the nose it was at the very end. But like, I've seen your dream. I was there too. Like, now you can do it. It's like, what? that was implied. I feel like they didn't need to say it. But hey, guys, I'm the cynic. Come on, Rod and Sean, give some positivity to this.
I think this is one of those circumstances where having some background to the context of the business helps a ton. And so this is happening across all sports, but particularly for football, U.S. football, there's a huge decline over the past decade or so in American people playing the sport because of things like CTE and all these problems around the game arising that have kind of made parents not want to put their kids into playing football. At the same time that there's growing interest internationally for the sport. And so this ad to me makes sense as the NFL trying to cultivate that interest in other countries where they know talent is already coming from. Is it effective? It's cute, but I understand why they're doing it.
Yeah, I do have a bunch of questions. And by the way, let me know if my audio is echoing. I'm trying my best to like get everything right. And it seems like some people in the chat say that like a few things are just a little bit off. So I'll keep twiddling things behind the scenes. But I guess my big question for you, Rod, is like, you know, if this is going to play during the Super Bowl and the audience is primarily American, what is the point? Like, why do this from a strategic standpoint?
What I would guess, or if it were me and I had to like run this ad, what I would say is that football is an incredibly American sport, but America is a country with lots of people who are not born American or who come from immigrant families, and so they don't have that same culture of playing football that, you know, people who have been here for generations do. And so if you want to continue to grow your sport and you feel like Americans who are a little bit more tapped in are not playing as much, there is a huge base of immigrants and immigrant families who might play the sport and feel like, hey, this is accessible. I don't know if the framing of like, hey, we have this development program in Ghana pushes someone who's here to do that, but it is a cool way of saying like putting someone in context, saying, hey, we see your culture, we see like how this looks to you, but this is still something we want you to try.
Would you say there's also, I don't know about this, there's a perception of Americans worldwide that, you know, you guys only care about America and stuff that goes on in America, right? I know it's obviously a bit of a stereotype. Yeah. But one thought I had during this was, is this almost a kind of way to pump up your own ego to say like, look, American football is now going international and like other countries care about it, so therefore you should care about it even more because the rest of the world is now starting to get into it?
I don't think so. I think it's more like, hey, come here and play this thing because it's great. Less like, because if I were trying to say what you were saying, I would have like a league in Ghana. I'd like be showing the development of like people playing it in other countries, like Canada, for example, has a football league, but we never talk about that.
Wait, Canada's real?
Right. It's not just another state or colony.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I do think it is more like the NFL being like, hey, there's an existential threat to our business. How do we stave that off?
Yeah, it's a lot of what I see in advertisements like this is what I'm very cynical. And so one of the things that I see in stuff like this is really an attempt to, how should I say, save face. Because the NFL has been losing a lot of face, Rod, as you've pointed out, for several years at this point. Yeah. And so one of the things that happens in life and in advertisements is that if you show a person enjoying or appreciating a thing, it does cause human mirror neurons to activate. When you see somebody smile, you are often tempted to smile in response without understanding or knowing why. When you see somebody enjoying a delicious meal, your neuronal response is very typically to want to enjoy the same thing. So when I see ads like this, what I see very often is just an attempt to recalibrate people in a very subtle, very gradual way to try to get them to associate good things with a brand via that mirror neuron pathway.
That was kind of my point, I guess. Like, not the mirror neuron, I wouldn't have like said it that intellectually, but that was my point, more just around like going, not about developing football around the world, more just, hey, we have this amazing sport that the rest of the world wants to play. And then kind of going like, oh shit, maybe we should appreciate it more. That's kind of how it came across a little bit to me. But again, yeah, this is the kind of thing where I am meta cynical and just go like, I don't really feel like there wasn't much of a point, and I don't know how much this would have done. It felt like just like, oh, we've got a budget to throw at it, let's just put a nice ad up there. That's how I feel about a lot of these.
Well, then why don't we, Rod, unless you have other things you want to say about this, why don't we move on to the next ad that, how should I say, is trying to do a very similar thing, but also perhaps is doing it in a way different way.
I have one last thing I'll add to this. The other important thing is like, I definitely PR, absolutely branding, marketing, whatever. If we could see what else they're doing around this initiative, it would be helpful to inform like what this actually is. Because if this is part of a program where they are increasingly sending scouts to Ghana or scouts to these other countries or whatever, then it feels a little bit less like, oh, we're just trying to make people feel better. And no, they actually have a real plan to do this. And this piece of content was a part of that strategy.
I want to pick your brain, Rod, about that topic, but about the next ad, because it's a small part of a much larger campaign, mainly digital, that I think it has me scratching my head a little bit. That's it. That was the ad.
Cool. I mean, Duolingo, it got me. Look, I know the Duolingo bird now, and I've never used it. And I know it's a threatening mascot. Honestly, I like this purely because as someone who one day wants to learn a language, just seeing this again, like anywhere, just makes me think like, oh God, yeah, maybe I should download Duolingo at some point.
Yeah, it's cute.
I just want to keep playing it.
And is the joke no butts because it doesn't have a butt because the butt's going away?
I think the joke is that there is a bum in any way.
For many people,
Is this going to be the rest of the stream? Just playing this.
Me repeating this.
You can, if you right click the video, you can have it loop too.
Why would you tell him that? Okay.
So, just to explain what I was saying before, this is part of a larger campaign where if you go onto Duolingo's YouTube page, you'll see a bunch of shorts and other videos, some of which I think they've been promoting on both like traditional television as well as online, where like the Duolingo owl is like going in and getting cosmetic surgery from, it's like a furry Duolingo owl, but he's going to like plastic surgeon's offices to get a bigger butt, like an enormous like butt, and like the whole shtick is like he's getting like Brazilian ass implants. It's a whole thing, and there's like a dozen videos like this, man. And like there's one where it's like the whole thing is about like the unwrapping of its ass. I'm being serious.
Okay. I don't like advertising. I think they have too much money, and I think that there is no point, and it's so twats like us sit here and analyze it and act like there is some higher meaning. I quit, copy that. I don't like this industry anymore.
What? Okay, I've never been to their YouTube channel before. This is wild. They have like a Love Island spoof with the Duolingo owl in it. This is crazy.
The Duolingo. So, as someone who has not seen any of these things, like I only know the Duolingo owl because I know that the joke is it's threatening. You know, when you don't do the Duolingo lessons, like, and that's like kind of funny. You know, it started off as a good thing, and now I associate it, and because I took note of that being a funny thing, like X number of years ago, whenever someone says language app or language learning thing, like Duolingo is now the first thing I think of. It used to be Rosetta Stone, but now it's Duolingo. Just because I had that one funny thing that I'm like, oh yeah, there was the app that teaches people how to do lessons, and it was threatening when you missed one. So I kind of feel like now, because I have that spike of knowledge, anytime I see the Duolingo owl in any other kind of little bit of funny context, it just re-triggers that, like, oh god, yeah, the language learning, yeah, I might do that at some point. So in that way, I feel like this is doing its job, at least for me.
It's funny because to me, the most effective thing about this is not the owl with the exploding butt that's being threatening, but it's the sound. If you've ever used Duolingo, that little bleep thing is the sound it makes whenever you get something right. And so if you've used it at all, you've heard that over and over and over and over and over again, and you associate it with the app. And so when the commercial plays, even if you're not paying attention to TV, you hear the thing and it's like, oh shit, Duolingo. And so that's a really effective way to trigger people thinking about the app if they've used it in the past.
One thing I will say about, listen, you know, say what you will about this ad. One thing that I appreciate in brand advertising more than most direct response advertising is that brand advertising understands that humans have Pavlovian responses. There are deep, like neuroscientific and psychological responses that people have to certain stimuli. And a person can exploit that. A person can actually leverage that, you know, that familiarity or that, you know, pre-programming in order to get some sort of familiarity. This ad is 5 seconds long, and it was paid to appear in one of the most expensive ad slots in history, like period. And with only 5 seconds, they were able to get attention visually and trigger that familiarity, that response, with just a single notification sound.
Yeah.
And again, when something is so different, even if you don't know what this is, when something is so different, when it's that short and it's like a weird thing, the chances are you might Google it quickly and be like, I don't even know what that was. My curiosity then sparks, I want to know what that thing is. So in that sense, it probably works.
So on that note, one thing, I don't think a lot of the commercials that I selected for this playlist are going to have this, but one thing that I noticed was that more so than at any other televised event that I've seen, a lot of the ads were actually ads telling people, the CTA was to go online and look up like specific things. Go to this website, check this out on YouTube, go here, go there. The rest of this ad is online. For example, the Deadpool 3 trailer, there was just like a few seconds and it said, go check out the full trailer of Deadpool 3 online. So rather than pay to show the whole ad, they showed people a little bit of a thing that they know people want and then said, okay, go online to get the rest of this.
Yeah. I mean, and you can see how effective it is, even for this ad where it has almost 800,000 plays. Those are views. Those views did not come from people watching the Super Bowl. They came from people looking at this ad online or sharing it or whatever.
Also, another comment Cara made, which is super interesting if that's true. Like that's such a fascinating point. Like the Duolingo is angling at medical tourism. The thing that you were just talking about, Sean, like, you know, it traveling around to like get different surgeries and unwrapping its butt and stuff. Obviously, we all know a massive thing that's getting bigger and bigger is going abroad to have treatments because it's cheaper. Duolingo taking advantage of that to say, hey, well, you may as well learn the language if you're going there or prepare for your trip to Turkey or whatever to get new teeth. That's fascinating and a little dark, if I'm honest. So Duolingo living up to their online persona there. I like it.
Oh, yeah. I actually wrote a whole promo around medical tourism at one point a few years ago. Like I specifically sat down and was just like, do you want, you know, American class healthcare, but from a third world country or for third world prices, basically?
Go to the UK.
Yeah.
Turkey, go to Thailand.
Or Thailand. Yeah. And like I use an example in that promo of a girlfriend that I had back in like 2005, 2006, who specifically like she planned a whole 2-week vacation like around going to Thailand and chilling on a beach at a resort and getting her wisdom teeth removed. And like the total cost of that trip and getting her wisdom teeth removed and the vacation was less than if she just got her wisdom teeth removed in Maryland.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, Duolingo. I like it. To sum up, I like it.
All right, so let's go on to the next ad, and this one is my favorite one that played at the Super Bowl. So I'm eager to talk about this one with you guys.
It's really good.
For many people with blindness or low vision, there hasn't always been an easy way to capture daily life.
One face cropped. Move your phone down. One face in frame. Hold for photo.
Dinner for one. Hello.
One face and one head in frame.
Look who's here.
Two faces in frame.
Happy birthday.
Two faces.
Good morning.
Two faces.
Delete that.
First day in the new place.
Two faces. Two faces. Two faces in frame. Three faces in frame. Hold for photo.
Capture life, no matter how you experience it. Guided frame only on Google Pixel.
So let's talk about that. I love that ad. This ad for me, like I just want to talk about something that's going on structurally here for a second. So how does it start? We start here with Alex, this is abiding by your call out strategy for ecom. Call out your audience. Like, this is what this is for. Like, just be very specific and very direct. And then let's look at like where we start. One face cropped, move your phone down. It starts with one. And then it goes to two. One face, one pet. And then it goes to two faces. And then it goes to like, it keeps escalating, you know, of like doing more and more exciting and intense stuff, more drama, until eventually we get to this part of the story where it's like two faces move down, three faces. There's a clear logic of progression here. Like, you see that kind of logic in really good sales letters. The magic show must get better. There's intensification and gradualization here. Like, for example, it doesn't just start off with it doesn't just start off with three faces in frame. It starts off
for photo.
With two faces in frame. Wait a second. Just, you know, in a script, you would write beat, and then you would write three faces in frame. Hold for photo. Like, the actual structure of this ad it's superb. It's exactly what a good piece of copy should do, especially if it's story-based copy. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, yes, that, and then so many other things too. Talking about taking a product and making it about the experience, what that product does for someone's life. Talking about, yes, like that Maureen's comment too, like talking about things like accessibility or issues that not a lot of people have as a percentage of the population, but are very impactful to their lives, is often very difficult, because it's like, how do we make people who don't have to deal with this understand what that person's going through and why this is an important feature to have on a product. However, when you are able to say, hey, this product is a feature, and then not even talk about that feature, but to show what that person's life looks like because they have that feature, even as someone who just has regular bad vision, I'm like, oh, holy shit, that's so cool. And that's like, it's not just that's a cool feature, but that has real benefit to someone's life. And my perception of Google Pixel as a brand is like, wow, that's a really considerate thing to do as a business. And so it's not just saying, oh, that's a good product, but like, wow, I actually have like more affinity for this brand now.
So my big takeaway from this, a couple of years ago, I was watching television, and just ads were on in the background. And all of a sudden, something made me look up, and it was silence. And there was an ad on TV that just had no sound, no soundtrack. And because I was so used to there being noise in the background, when there was no sound all of a sudden, I was like, and I looked up, but there was an ad and it just had text on it. And then noise came in afterwards. This ad did the same thing for me, because if you're half watching ads, or like you kind of got a TV on it in the background a little bit, and then just in the corner of your eye and your periphery, you notice it's blurred, you look, because you're like, oh shit, there you go. It's exactly that. And that's everything you guys have said. The thing I really love about this ad, W knows, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, in the chat spoke about this being a demo, which I think is absolutely a spot on way to describe it. I think where it goes beyond the demo is it also introduces a gimmick that involves you in the ad, where you're like, oh, it immediately gets my attention because something different is happening on the screen that I wasn't expecting. And then you are basically imagining, so this is what it would be like to have low vision. And as screwed up as that sounds, like, that's interesting, that's intriguing, and that makes me go like, oh, right, so that's what it is. And then I'm interested about the difference. And I only look, potentially, if I'm only half-heartedly kind of watching stuff, because of that gimmick they're using to demonstrate it. That is fantastic. It's like, forget all the story stuff. That even if the story stuff wasn't good, I would still be praising this ad for that. Just having something that's very, very different.
I want to push back a little bit.
No, you're not allowed.
Not even because it's great, but you said that the gimmick is a little bit crude, and I actually don't think we should call it crude, because the reality of life is that each of us have experiences that other people will just never be able to understand. And while, yes, putting like a blur filter on video is like not the most sophisticated technique, it is probably the closest approximation that most people
I meant I was doing like the internal dialogue of someone watching it going, oh, that's screwed up, like, oh man, like that would be horrible to experience that. Not that I thought it was crude, just yeah. So no, I agree, I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, okay, for the audience then. There is a version of this ad where there's no filter whatsoever, and you can still have the thing run the exact same way, and it's probably mostly still effective, because you're saying that, oh, move up, move down, whatever. But by putting you, the viewer, in the shoes of someone who experiences this, and then showing how transformative it is to have that removed, it does kind of help people understand like the depth or the profundity of that transformation. And in all copy, I think ultimately what we're trying to show people is the deepness and the importance of a transformation that they're unlocking by purchasing, by engaging, by doing whatever. And so no matter how you have to do that, even if it is something as simple as a filter, it's really, really important to pay attention when you see it done well like this.
And exactly what Sean pointed out at the beginning, which I always talk about, is calls out its audience. Let's say you're watching this. We've had two people in the chat say, like, oh, well, I know someone who has low vision, or yeah, like this caught the attention of my significant other or whatever. If you know someone like who has this problem, guess what ad you're going to talk to them about? So it's how effective is that? That means like, even if they're not watching the Super Bowl, you'd be like, holy, like, did you hear about this ad? You should look at the Google Pixel. So in that way, this is still, it knows its audience. As Rod said, it builds brand credibility because it's actually quite nice and quite different, and it's interesting, grabs attention, makes people think. Plus, it's probably quite effective just as a direct sales ad for people who are like, oh, I didn't know it could do that. Yeah, I'm going to get that phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to say too, which is like, not only is this good because it calls out people with low vision issues, this ad was not really made for people with low vision issues. I mean, after all, how many of them are going to be watching the Super Bowl? But like, one of the things that it does is like, it clearly signals like who this is for. It is attractive and like appealing and enticing to people who like have not perceived things that way. And it gets their attention, Alex, like you said, by having a pattern interrupt that I've never seen before, which like there are not many of those. And then like it goes into like the actual features of the camera. And what it's really doing is showing like how cool Google's tech is, like how cool Google Phone's capabilities are. Like, that's so good. It's so good.
This is something I also thought too, W knows, is like, oh, if the phone can do this, what other cool shit can it do?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes. Absolutely. The circle Google feature is great, by the way. I have a Pixel, and it's. I recommend it. I shill. Hey, Google, you want to sponsor us? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's one other thing I'd like to call out that we've kind of acknowledged here already, but just very specifically on the level of knowing your audience, it is really important to me that though this ad start with silence, when that text came up on the screen, they had someone read out what the text was saying. Not just because a lot of people aren't looking at the screen and you want to draw their attention, but because if you're someone who does not have great eyesight or who has some sort of like visual impairment, you could not read that on the screen. And so knowing who you're talking to and doing those things to show them like, hey, we understand what your experience is and we are speaking to you goes such a long way.
I want to yes and what you're saying, because what is the reaction that a lot of people are going to have once they see that blurry screen? Oh my God, is there something wrong with the feed? Oh my God, is there something wrong with the TV? And so by signaling that the audio feed is fine, you immediately overcome that objection that people are going to have to your pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
Like oh my God, there's so much going on in this fucking commercial and I fucking love it. Like every single person who like says on Discord, oh, I want to learn how to write story copy, watch this ad 38 more times because it's so good.
Yeah. Can I say that Google are actually quite good at copy? There was another Google Pixel ad. I know we're getting a little off topic, but there's another Google Pixel ad that basically made me get a Google Pixel because it used the line in it. It was like a person who had a Google Pixel and you're just going like, use Google for maps. I use it for all my emails and folders. Like, why would I not have it for my phone? And I was like, that's a good point. And it's just like that kind of shit that I would never have thought of. They're so good at capturing like what people actually is connecting with people. So yeah, I like it.
I go through that almost every day. I work in an office where everyone uses Macs. Almost everyone has iPhones. All of our stuff is on like Google Workspace. And so I have an Android phone. It's super easy to access all of that seamlessly, whatever. Why would I want to switch platforms? And so whenever someone asks that, I'm like, I use Google for everything. Why would I not have that be my operating system?
Oh yeah, let's get sponsored by Google, guys. I'm going to their headquarters in the UK in a couple of weeks as well. So let's do it. I'll talk to them.
Please do.
Yeah, please. Yes. I need the money.
We have a humble copywriting podcast.
We just want to say, Google, would you like to come on the Copy That podcast?
Mr. Google, sir.
I would actually love to speak to the team who wrote this or created this, because not to like ruin the magic too much, but like based on like the way I've seen other creative teams work, I wonder if they actually like conceptualize it in exactly the same way that like with the level of granularity that we're doing right now, or if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this, and then let's throw in this other detail, just like kind of feels based, whatever. Because a lot of time, like I'll see really good stuff come out of like this office, and I'll talk to the person like, we're just kind of like feeling this sort of vibe or something. I'm like, but that was genius, and do you even know what you did?
Yeah. Just on that note, but about like the story structure of it, one thing that I've often seen, and because I'm one of those people, assholes, who believes that the human mind is wired for story. I think that there's actually something innate to human psychology that responds to story structures. And so that like when we're talking about story structure, what we're actually talking about is a pattern that is baked into the human mind and human consciousness. The same way that we respond to certain smells or whatever. And so like what I've seen a lot when I have worked with story copy or when I've worked with stories, period, is I will instinctually know like, okay, this scene needs to get moved here, or this needs to be moved here. And I'm doing it subconsciously. I'm making these edits subconsciously. And I've seen other people do this too. But what we're doing subconsciously, I realize after the fact, and I'm self-aware enough to realize this after the fact, what I'm doing is trying to move stuff around to make that narrative flow, give it that logic of escalation. Because you can certainly imagine a world where this ad had the baby appear as the second scene, and just like scramble stuff up, and it would immediately lose its impact because it would lose that logic of escalation and intensification. And so even if it's vibes based, it's still based on, how should I say, something else that's going on under the hood of human psychology.
Yeah, there's a really long discussion I'd love to one day have on the show or just in real life about archetypes. There's something almost Shakespearean about ending your spot with a birth.
Oh yeah, we know it's a comedy, not a tragedy. I would love to have that, but what would we title that video that would actually get us views? Like, it's not how to write copy and make $10,000 beginner's guide 5-hour course for beginners. So therefore it would get no views.
Nerds talk about nerd shit. Question in the chat. Will we react to the Easy Super Bowl ad? I have not seen it.
I have not seen it either. I don't know. So if we have time at the end, we will definitely talk about it. So I picked this ad to be third. I wanted to do 2 ads that were like, what the fuck is wrong with brand advertising kinds of ads? And then I wanted to do 2 where I was just like, okay, this is so clearly like direct response copywriters, email copywriters, long form copywriters can actually really sincerely learn something from this. This was one that I picked. And now we're about to watch number 2.
Is my favorite one in this list?
What is your favorite one?
I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
I'll type it in chat. I'm pretty sure.
Send it in chat. Hold on. Let's just quickly look at the thing. So we got this CrowdStrike, the Martin Scorsese one, the Twins one, that MGM, Michael Cera, the Christopher Walken BMW one.
I haven't seen any of these.
Well,
these are all new.
You're English.
Yeah, these are all new to me. I just know Dora the Explorer was there.
So, Rod, if your favorite was not in that list, then we can certainly queue it up.
I typed it in Discord chat. I don't know if
what Rod typed in Discord chat has got me the most interested in anything all night. So
that was. Do you know what I'm talking about, Sean?
I see what you're talking about. Okay, let's just go straight to Rod's favorite because we watched my favorite. Jesus,
this was
feet.
Saying it out loud's even better.
This was hands down the best ad to me of the entire.
Was it the foot washing one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just for everyone in the audience, this is the best advertising I have maybe ever seen. Ever.
Incorrect, but we'll talk about it.
Don't ask me what you know is true. Don't have to tell you I love your precious heart. I was standing, you were there. 2 worlds collided. And they could never tear us apart. We can live for 1,000 years.
What was that advertising? Was that a church?
I don't know what this is exactly. It's like basically like a Jesus ad.
What if you don't know what it is?
No, I see their ads everywhere, but I don't know exactly what.
He loves us.
There's a foundation that basically he gets us. So
he gets us. Sorry, yeah.
It's basically a religious nonprofit that does advertising for religion.
Right.
And all of their stuff is targeted at younger people. And so trying to make it more relevant and salient to people.
Do those people exist? I'm sure they do, because every kind of person exists. My cynicism here says, will the kind of person who fervently believes in Jesus also be okay with watching a priest wash a camp like black person's feet? Like that's kind of where my the cross section comes for me. Like, I don't know if they're targeting a real audience.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, after you, sir.
I actually think that's part of the reason why it's so good, is because if you are the type of person who is religious and you see that and it offends you, the ending of that, where they're saying Jesus washed, he didn't teach hate, he washed feet, that's like a real fucking parable from the Bible. And so they were saying, you know, the thing you're believing, the thing that's making you uncomfortable, is what this person who is your Lord and Savior actually would have done. And so you need to reevaluate your feelings.
But to me, that is an unshakable belief that they already have. So it will just piss them off.
It's not unshakable. People can change on that. And if you look at sentiment around gay people in this country, it's changed rapidly over the last 20, 30 years, including within religious communities. The number of churches that are accepting, that don't kick people out for being LGBT, is way higher than I think any of us would have ever imagined it to be.
So I don't want to listen. This can very quickly devolve into a conversation about religiosity and its intersection with politics and the pertinence of like having these sorts of conversations in the public space. And I think it says something that I'm uncomfortable about having that conversation in a public space. I would rather like to talk about how fucking sick this drop is.
Yeah. that's way better to focus on.
How, like, okay, let's talk for a moment about video ads and video rhetoric and visual rhetoric, as well as auditory rhetoric. There are so, like, when it comes to writing, most of us are focused on writing. We know how to emphasize certain points. We know that, like, to emphasize a claim, we might like break it down and give it its own line. We might move words around in a sentence to draw focus to the first word or the last word in a sentence. When you're writing for video, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that it's visual in a different way and it's auditory in a different way. And one of the things that you have to sort of like anticipate and clue into when you're writing for video, and I've had to learn this myself, is that you have to understand audio cues and sharp juxtapositions and transitions between something colorful and something stark and sparse. And so put that in your toolkit when you're writing video, because it's going to work really well for emphasizing your points, whether you're writing a long form VSL for a financial newsletter or you're writing a YouTube ad. So definitely keep that sort of stuff in mind, because the person who writes that, who thinks of that stuff, is the copywriter. You will write bracket at this point, fade to black, have sick drop. Like, these are things that I've written in scripts before, and it's something that you have to sort of like pay attention to and anticipate.
Skrillex drop.
Yes.
I am unfortunately, I'm gonna have to bring it back to some of the religiosity politics stuff.
God
because
damn it.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. I promise we won't get canceled over this. I'll be as gentle as one could possibly be.
Thank you.
Almost, yeah. Won't make that pun. Will you go back to the very beginning of the video, to that first image? Earlier, we had a discussion about storytelling and escalation. And to me, this ad does this extremely well. It starts off with this image. It's kind of weird, kind of quirky. You're like, why is this dude touching this other dude's feet? Whatever. And we just slowly like click through just so we can see the progression.
Yeah.
And
Rod, I like where you're going with this.
Yeah. And as the video goes on, it starts to touch on these cultural tensions. So first you have the police and the black dude. You have these people in this school. I don't know exactly what this one is.
Bullying.
These are things. Oh, bullying. Okay, great. These are things that are very far from religion, but there are cultural tensions that people are aware of, that people are attending to right now. And so if you're a regular person, you're not religious, whatever, you're seeing these things and you're like, why are these two people who are in cultural tension doing like in this relationship?
Yeah. Every picture is an image of like a pertinent, uncomfortable thing that's happening in America right now.
Right.
You know, Washing your dad's feet, for example, is a major issue in America right now.
Right.
You know, obviously, police violence against African Americans, bullying in schools is the implication here. Ranchers and Native Americans, definitely a lot of historical tension there. Abortion rights activists versus anti-abortion protesters. Addiction.
Yeah.
What is this one?
Like fracking and native, or just environmentalists, I guess.
Yeah. Environmentalism versus drillers. Which one is this? Oh, migrants versus people protesting migrants. Islam versus
American.
That dude.
American. Feels weird bucketing them that way. General protest contention. Yeah, Trump versus non-Trump supporters, I guess. Lock him up, shut him up. There's that corollary there. Jeff Bridges and Danny Glover.
Deliverance. I don't know what this one was.
I think it's just general black and white, which there's constant tension around that.
An interesting thing that I noticed here is that in all of these photos up until this one, the person whose feet is getting washed is watching the person doing the washing. It's like they're attending to the act. In the one with the two dudes at the end, right before this one, they're looking at each other and they're washing each other's feet. And there's almost this mutualism of
they're gay.
Yes, okay. One, these two dudes in the rural South are gay, but two, the sort of act of breaking down and addressing racism is then it becomes this bipartisan exchange, which is an interesting shift in the narrative.
Here's what I like about this ad. Rod, in addition to the sense of narrative escalation, gradualization, intensification, that it's the logic of that, which I think that every good story-based or implicitly story-based ad should have. Here's what I like. It's polarizing. I don't know if you guys have been watching the chat, but people either really like it or they really fucking hate it. And that, for me, in my world, that's a good ad.
It is in my world, that's also a great ad because it's engagement regardless. People are talking about it. If your goal is to have people learn about your organization, the work you're doing, even if they hate it, that's often a good thing.
Yeah.
I will also say that because they touch on so many things, you're speaking to issues that people, regardless of their religiosity, are attending to, are relevant. They're going to pay attention to the end. And the thing I thought was a masterstroke here is the very last image of the priest watching the presumably gay dude's feet is that is an image that is it's a very clear tension within religion itself. And by not shying away from the thing that people are going to be thinking about, the hypocrisy of religion, as compared to our current cultural beliefs or whatever, it's kind of like saying, hey, we know this is a thing. We know that we also have work to do. And in acknowledging that to an audience that's going to be skeptical of what you're saying anyway, I think it does remove a little bit of the objection, and people are going to be willing to listen a little bit more if you're hey, this is an everybody issue. This is not just a Christians versus non-Christian scum issue.
I want to draw attention to this particular comment. It would have rung more true to me had they used actual people and not AI. And listen. They could have fed hundreds, thousands of people for months. There are so many homeless people in America right now who went without food so that this organization could spend $14 million fucking dollars on a goddamn Super Bowl ad. So no, they didn't have money for real actors. No, they didn't have money to actually practice what they preach. No. They needed to cut as many corners as possible so they could spend $14 million on a Super Bowl ad.
Can I try and boil all of this down to one question?
Wait, one sec, because I want to speak to that real quick, and just to tie up that, and then have the entire floor. I actually wonder if it would be less effective if there were real people, because the aesthetic of the art itself kind of feels not larger than life, but if you go, it almost, some of these feel like murals, sort of. and like relatively realistic murals. But something like this, you can imagine seeing on a wall. And this goes back to the way in which we like think about conceptualized stories or whatever. But when I see something like this, I almost subconsciously start to abstract it away from, oh, these are two people, and more like this is a story about us or whatever. And so my ability to like see it and think about how this applies to the rest of society changes a little bit because I'm not focusing on these two people in the photo as like real people.
I didn't.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I was saying I didn't actually think it was AI. Like, I know it looks like AI, but I didn't actually think it was. I thought it was made to look like AI, if that makes sense. It seems too good to be AI.
And
Balenciaga does that a lot.
Sorry, Ryan, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I was saying the feet are too nice. I was talking to somebody here about this the other day. I was like, yeah, they could have used AI, but they probably had to like go back and post and like take out all the extra like feet and toes and stuff.
Yeah, the 7 fingers.
Yeah.
I don't know, in some states of America. Anyway, I want to boil not just this ad. I just want to boil the whole stream down to like a single question, which is the ultimate cynicism. What is the point of an ad? Like, what is the purpose of an ad? Because like I honestly, and I think it's great we're having a discussion about this, but I've seen a few comments like say like, oh, well, the point is it sparked debate and sparked discussion. Kaylee said, oh, well, you've Googled it, so it's done its job, you know. And like, I think I'm not saying either of those are wrong ways to say, is that what an ad is for? But I think it's a question that's worth asking, because I honestly think if you're on a stage like the Super Bowl and you put anything that's just extremely different or gonna obviously be polarizing up, it's always going to get people going, oh, like this is wrong or this is right. I don't think that in itself is particularly worthy of praise. And I think that's the problem I have here, is that I do actually think it's quite easy to come up with something that's going to get people talking. The purpose beyond that then becomes, well, what was the point of getting people talking in the first place? And did that actually lead to the wider goal? Because I think if you've got $10 million to burn on a Super Bowl ad, guess it's going to get the attention that you want anyway. And if you make it polarizing, which is a pretty simple thing to do, if you put a photo up that some people are going to find offensive, then, oh yeah, you're going to spark debate. But is debate the point of an ad? I don't know. Maybe.
It could be.
So I had a very similar question for a different set of ads a long time ago, Alex. And I specifically had questions about a controversial set of Marmite ads from the late 90s.
Solid food. And
yeah, to people with terrible taste. And one of the things that I really wanted to understand, like, because I had the same cynicism as you, Alex, where I was like, what is the point of an ad that doesn't really have a clear CTA, that's polarizing for the sake of polarizing, that tries to get people talking about stuff? And, you know, I even spoke to Jason Bagley and to a mutual friend of ours, Jared, about this. And one of the things that I learned in these ads is that more so than a lot of ads with like a direct CTA, there was a sudden surge in same-store sales of these products. There were like measurable surges in sales for a lot of these things. There was a sudden surge in trends that led to more donations for a lot of businesses like this, or I guess nonprofit.
Which I don't doubt at all. Like, I get that, but my point more broadly is every single Super Bowl ad is going to do that. I doubt any Super Bowl ad failed in getting a spike in interest in the thing it was advertising. I would be very, very interested to see if there was anything that was in a Super Bowl ad that didn't then have a spike of Google's end of sales. So that's what I'm asking. It's like, oh, we may as well just say, well, all these ads are good because they're in a Super Bowl context. Like that, which is the point. I'm trying to be cynical here. Like, I feel like all these ads are going to achieve something.
What was your question? Your original question?
It was just what is the purpose of an ad? Is it of in this context specifically? Is it just to spark debate? Is it to get more sales? Is it to just get more attention, interest, Google's shares? I don't think there is an actual answer. I think everyone goes into the Super Bowl ad space with a different idea. Like, oh, we are going to drive sales. We just want to cause a, more interesting discussion around our industry or whatever. I definitely think this is a fun thing to discuss internally. I think if we take this too seriously, we fall.
Okay. I will be the optimist here. The point here is that I would absolutely agree. To whatever extent, if you're going to spend $10, $14 million to put a spot in the Super Bowl, you're going to see increased interest anyway, just because so many people are going to see it by the numbers. More people are going to be curious, whatever. My counterpoint would be that if you're going to get that spike regardless of what you're doing, why not also take that opportunity to try to change the perception of your brand? Like the opposite of this ad was the Lindor truffle ad, which is, do you know what Lindor truffles are, Alex? There's like those.
You mean like the chocolates? Lind?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Know what
yeah.
good food is? Why are you asking?
Lint. We call them lint in this country.
Whatever they are,
because that's what you're used to eating.
Lindor lint. No, not pocket lint.
Yeah. So that ad is the same ad that it always is, where it's just like the chocolatier guy spinning the chocolate, whatever.
Yeah,
we've seen that ad a billion times, and they ran basically a version of that for the Super Bowl. But like, what's the point of that ad? Even if it's like really about the product, yada yada yada, it's just the same old thing. If you are a church or a religious advocacy foundation, you do have a very real cultural problem in the United States right now, where fewer and fewer people are religious. More and more people associate Christianity with intolerance, whatever. And so it is not enough to say, hey, come join our church. You need to address or at least acknowledge the objections that people have in 2024 about being a Christian and say, hey, we see this and this is our answer to it. Even if people aren't going to believe you because they saw one 1 minute long ad, acknowledging that there does kind of lay the way for people to have other sort of like interactions with your brand, and over time have their perceptions slowly change or become at least slightly more open to hearing the case you're trying to make.
In which case, let me flip the question and say, what would make an ad fail? What would have made this ad fail as an ad?
Can I, really quick, before we talk about that, I want to show something that sort of highlights a little bit what I'm talking around and what I think Rod is talking around.
Mm-hmm.
This is Google Trends. The football, this commercial occurred the evening of Sunday the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the highest spike of search for Duolingo?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
We went from basically nowhere, typical piddling shit, to 100, from 29 relative search volume to 100 in an instant. Let's do another. He gets us. Oh, would you look at that?
Mm.
We went from nothing to everything. So this stuff, these ads, they do drive engagement. We know that there are tangible results from these ads. And I'm pretty sure that if we just went like ad by ad by ad by ad, we would see similar spikes.
Yeah.
And so for me, for a lot of businesses, just like any advertisement, you're going to have different goals. And some of them are going to be PR, rehabilitative. Some of them are going to be to drive sales, some to drive downloads. You're going to have different measurements of success for every single ad. And once you have millions, if not billions of dollars to play with, you can be a little more loosey-goosey with your goals. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it reminds me of the NFL ad at the very beginning, where what is that ad actually doing for the average person? Probably not much. But we also need to know what other sorts of initiatives are they having. I know this company does lots of out-of-home placements, so lots of billboards. Depending on where you are, there are going to be a lot of touch points you have with this brand. And so even if you're not searching for it, little by little, you're becoming more aware of it. And maybe for some people, eventually that leads to a conversation that leads to some form of deeper engagement. Is what you would hope from this kind of thing.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I agree. It's exactly the point I had as well. I was like, I don't think there'll be a single ad where there isn't a spike. Which is then, what is the deeper purpose? Which is why I say we can't know the deeper purpose because it's subjective. In which case, fuck, this is just a fun stream to chat some shit.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is
that's why I wanted to have this.
Like realistically, if you are a church, how do you convert people through advertising? That's a really, really hard job.
If a church seriously came on with an ad and was like, all right, we should look to Warhammer for this. If they were like, right, you know, we're gonna conquer the galaxy, and this is the answer, and we have everything, and this is epic, and you're gonna be a soldier, you know, come join us and feel. I'd be like, yeah, you know, they went like proper Greco-Roman on it. And I was like, yeah, we've got the god of death and sex and wine. It's like, yeah, I'll join that church. That's what I want to see. Super Bowl,
just pure bacchanalia.
Yes.
Hero board.
Anyway, we've only watched like 3 ads. we've got to watch another.
No, I mean, well, listen. Part of why I wanted to have the stream, one, was to hang out with cool people and like chat shit with them. The second was to like sort of point to like brand advertising, because I do feel like I'm very much in the middle between Alex's cynicism and Rod's optimism about brand advertising. And Rod is not coming from a naive place of optimism. He was primarily a direct response guy and political speechwriter. He was a direct action oriented copywriter who now is doing strategy for ads like the ones that we're seeing. And then there's Alex, who like I recently had to introduce him to my mom so that he could learn what PR is.
That's a true story. Yeah, I'm all up in Sean's mom's DMs.
It's true. It's true. Alex and my mom have been chatting a lot recently. It's making me a little uncomfortable. And so, but like I come from a world where I've done a lot of DR, but I've also done a little bit of brand stuff, and I understand that what brand does is it's an amplifier. It's a magnifier for your more direct efforts. It's a lot easier to sell directly to people if people already know who you are and that you've already answered a lot of the objections that people have to you before they ever see your ad.
Yeah.
That's the power of brand for me as a direct response writer.
Yeah, and I'll still, you know, I'm always going to be playing the bombastic devil's advocate for DR for this stream because it helps the dynamic here. But also, you know, like I have had a belt of PR experience recently, and again, just being in a national, like in multiple national newspapers, made the company I work with like have the highest organic traffic we'd ever had. From just being in newspaper, like we didn't really do any proper work for it. It just happened. So there's 100% value, you know, guys, when we're like chatting and stuff, you know, for the audience watching this, you know, everything has value. So please don't think, oh, I'm in this camp or I'm in that camp. We're doing it to kind of highlight the differences there can be, but you know, everything is
hamming it up. Yeah, we're hamming it up for the camera a little bit, and I actually just moved our faces around on the streams to highlight, like, you know, from brand to middle ground to direct response.
You know, just one of those Jubilee shows.
You know, just to play up the conflict a little bit. Like, again, we all own a business together. It's not like we haven't had these conversations before. Like, it's fake contentiousness, but we're going to amplify the contention to give voice to a lot of the thoughts that you watching this have in your head. Now that we've said all that, let's actually watch an ad.
Yeah, because God, we're doing the same thing we always do, is which we don't actually read copy, we just talk.
We're talking about the ad, so this is like educational.
That's true.
Important stuff.
Yeah, it says the brand writer.
Says the one who has a ping pong table in his office.
People need to know this. We have a pool table and a foosball table.
I don't even have a keyboard. I have to just sit there and carve my words into a table.
I have a monitor that I use to put sticky notes on.
Fucking hell. Pen or digital? Pick one. Okay, all right, let's go to the next ad.
All right.
Morning.
Watch me.
Just watch me now. Just watch me now. I got something for you, a little more for you. You won't believe your eyes. Just watch me now. I got something for you, a little more for you. You won't believe your eyes. Just watch me now. Just watch me now.
I want to hear from the brand guy first.
Oh fuck. I was not the biggest fan of this commercial. Why? It feels a little cliche. It feels a little past the moment. AI was really cool a couple months ago, as a maker or startup, grungy, whatever. But we're now at the point where we've had so many conversations about it, where we've questioned the integrity and the utility, the reliability of it, to the extent that even for the average person, I don't know if asking it to write a script for you, you're going to feel like, oh yeah, that's a viable path to becoming a film writer or a coder or whatever. It feels a little unbelievable. It's also cringe as fuck. I'll say that too.
So here's the thing. I love and hate this ad. And here's what I want to draw attention to. I have read this ad 300 times.
Yeah.
This ad is it's an email in every single coach's welcome sequence. This ad is in almost every recent copywriting guru's lifts. They said I couldn't do it. I had to work 3 jobs, I had to struggle, I had to do this thing. This ad is abiding by the same logic of several of the emails viewers have probably seen and studied.
Or
this
written.
Ad, is leveraging the exact same emotions that a lot of people online teaching direct response that they're trying to elicit as well. This ad is specifically doing what we instruct people to do. It disrupts people in a way by specifically calling out their problems and then agitating them and then showing a solution.
Here's why I don't like this ad. When this started, and it was they said I could never do X. Yes, that's cliche and it's been done before, but I agree that there's a reason it's been done before, because it works, and because if you are sat there and people doubt you, as people do, it's why they use the evocative they, because they is whoever I'm thinking has said these things. So makes sense, works. The reason I don't like this ad is the very, very ham-fisted way it kind of then bleeds into AI. It doesn't actually give me a structured solution for how I can use AI to do. Yeah, it shows a couple of examples of me doing stuff, but it's I still have to then, if I'm actually genuinely sat there and I really want to start this business, and I'm okay, I'm interested in this thing, and then it shows me fucking AI, I'm oh, great. Good, thanks.
One more thing.
Wow, never thought of that. I haven't heard of that. Like Rod said, haven't heard of that in the last year. If it genuinely said this AI is, it almost feels like this is being written for if we want to bring it back to stage of awareness, for a problem aware audience, when everyone at this stage is at least solution or product aware for AI. So it's what's even the point of saying, oh, AI can do all this stuff? It's yeah, but why should I use this one? I know ChatGPT, etc., etc. That's my main problem with this ad.
You could almost say that it's almost like it was written by AI.
Exactly that. So
I wonder.
I think that I think it uses good copy techniques. I think the golden thread, if you want to call it that, I think is very, very weak. I don't think it really has a conclusion, that's worthy of me watching it.
Yeah, there's the other really huge problem for me too is that even if you are someone who was unaware of AI, if you see this ad and you're oh my god, that's so cool, let me get that, you are going to be quickly disappointed by what it actually gives you.
It's also true.
AI will not write your movie for you. It will not write code that makes you hireable. It will not build your app. Your like the transformation you're going to see after having invested your money in this thing is not going to live up to what the dream it's selling you on. And so if you're on the low end of the awareness spectrum, I feel like it's going to be disappointing. And if you're on the higher end, it's going to be like, why the fuck would I want this?
In truth, they were doing their research on Microsoft Edge. It seems that you have been behind the times.
Oh, man, don't dunk on the audience, Sean.
Well, I think Internet Explorer is more. I think
They're watching
they were doing
us.
that intentionally.
Why would you do that? It's just mean for no reason.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Elliot. Sorry, Liquor Chef. Oh. I tell you what, though. Cope, that's a damn good name for a product.
Really, Alex, is there something that you know of?
That's a good name. Copilot is a great name. If I was upgrading a copywriting course, I would choose that as the second coming. Are we at the 2 hour mark yet? We're not even at 2 hours, guys. This is ridiculous.
We're not even close.
I kind of feel bad a little bit.
You should, you bastard. Okay, anyway, right. Copywriting career Copilot, well, fuck it, go and buy it. Right. next ad.
Is there a link in the description? There might be a link.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I put this up like 2 days ago, so I have no idea.
Okay.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm crying. No, I was trying to imply that AI wrote the script for this ad. If we go back to the Jesus Wept one, I think those were all written. And look at this. Tanya suggests it should show how easy it is to use Copilot. I like the motivational message. People need it when they act like they don't. What do you guys think of that?
Need the motivational message when they act like they don't need motivation? Is that what we mean?
No, rather like this ad would have been better if they actually demonstrated it a little bit better or more.
Yeah, I fully agree. I agree on the motivational piece as well.
I see.
There was a lot of like stuff happening in the app, but it wasn't showing, hey, this. It wasn't showing the process. It was just like, hey, this person's doing a random thing. Someone else is doing this other thing.
Yeah. There is no easier. So just on the note of like people needing the motivational message, there is no easier sell than somebody who's already been sold on something. Like if you want to sell personal development, you don't go to people who are like don't care about and don't want personal development. You sell to people who are into personal development already. Like if you want to sell motivation, like David Goggins, like people who like David Goggins are not people who are like just want to be couch potatoes, you know? Like they're people who are already like trying to get onto a path to improve their lives. They're already sold on the notion. They already have it. And so if you want to sell ideas, a lot of what you need to do is actually just lean into the ideas and notions. I had a whole video about this that people already have. So,
you know, the other reason why I hate this is because it felt like every single commercial I've ever seen for a community college ever.
Yes. Yes, universities in the UK, the exact same thing.
It was that fucking cadence. Is you're an
they said I couldn't.
Gritty. Yeah, like, I can do this. I know I can. No one believes me but me. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put in the work doing this thing. And to be clear, there's no thing about going to community college, anything like that. But the type of ads that those schools put out is very much like this. And so we're talking about a product that's like supposedly like higher tier, higher class, whatever. But like the marketing angle it's using, it's not.
100%.
It doesn't seem right.
There is a. Go on, Sean.
Yeah, you guys crack me up. I love it.
I was just saying, there's an ad that probably won't be as relevant to you guys because I don't know if you have ads like this in the US, but there's like this parody UK ad, and it's hilarious because it just distills what so many UK ads do all the time, where it's just like, this one's for the dreamers, this one's for the believers, the players, like the motivators, the stay-at-homers. I hate that cliche so bad. Please don't do that. I thought it was going to be University of Inchmash.
Yeah, I mean, and again, those ads are presumably effective. I know lots of people who have gone to those schools, or those schools make fuck tons of money. So who are we to shit on them? But also, I don't know if that's what they were going for here.
Yeah, it's very funny because, like I said at the beginning of this, like, I love and hate this ad, and I love the ad because it's tropes that we're all familiar with, especially in the direct response world, but manifested in a different medium to show the universality and versatility of these ideas. Blah, 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 blah. I hate this ad for all the reasons that we've talked about after that.
Oh, well, we hate the next one as much. That's what I want to know.
All right, let's find
Just
out.
to really quickly answer this question, I think solution aware for someone would be like, the AI exists and can help you with stuff. Product aware would be someone who like knows what ChatGPT is or any of these other tools.
Yeah.
Copilot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if somebody's product aware or most aware, you can just name the product in the beginning. Like, there's no lack of familiarity there that you have to dance around to entice people.
I feel like if ChatGPT did a Super Bowl ad and just said ChatGPT 50% off for everyone, Super Bowl weekend only, they probably would have had the highest ever number of sales. So that's what I mean when we're talking about product aware, most aware. Like, there you go, boom, that's an ad.
But then again, ChatGPT would then immediately crash more than it already does.
That's true.
Fair.
Yeah, that's why we chill Copilot.
It's the same shit.
Copilot, ChatGPT for less people. All right, next ad.
All right, next ad. All right. So, I'm excited about this next ad because one of the things that we do a lot in direct response is we lean into these very like ham-handed emotions, greed, fear, disgust, etc. But I have been a long advocate of weaving in, and I got this from Mark Ford and David Deutsch, of weaving in subtler emotions, putting the B in subtle sometimes even, and trying to evoke different senses and link those emotions to senses of, as Kyle would say, new, easy, safe, or big. And that's why I say that there's like so many emotions and gradations of emotion out there. And this next ad leans into an emotion that we like commercials do really well, and direct response either does very poorly or not at all. So nostalgia.
Yeah.
Thank you, Agent State Farm.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Cut. Hey, Arnold, I'm hearing neighbor. It's neighbor.
That's what I said. Neighbor.
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 Hey, let's go again.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Cut.
Now what?
It's neighbor.
Neighbor.
Cut.
Neighbor. Yeah, neighbor. Just like it's written on a paper. This lady is in labor.
Cut.
Look at this. This is labor. Like a good neighbor. That was the sheep. And you know it.
It's like you're cold. Brr.
Yeah, I'm cold. Bah. Neighbor.
Still no.
Like a good neighbor.
Cut.
Burr. Bah. Burr. Bah. Burr. Bah.
Neighbor.
Neighbor. Burr. Bah.
Burr.
Bah. Get me under this chopper.
It's pronounced chopper.
Don't.
It is.
Neighbor. A little bit more concealer.
Hey, Arnold. It's got a bit of a script change.
Script change.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Agent State Farm.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Simple. You are a backstabber.
I am a backstabber.
Shout out to all my Twins fans out there.
I've never seen it. And I also agree with Arnie that it's neighbor.
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 Imagine if this ad were making fun instead of like a Mexican or Spanish accent, or like, say for example, a stereotypically Asian accent. I wonder if it would fly.
Well, I mean, the Germans have done enough bad in this world. We can take this out of them.
Isn't he Austrian?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry. The Austrians, like, they were much better on.
I'm sorry, they were just hungry.
Oh God, Jack, that was good. That was not good. What am I saying? Look, we're making old Empire jokes.
We
Anyway.
need Lindsey on the stream to prevent us from getting canceled.
Yes. I don't really have an opinion of this. I guess, like, it's fine. It's very, to me, as someone who doesn't get any of the references, like, I'm just kind of switch off for it.
Which leads to the great audience question.
Oh, millennials.
Yeah, millennials, like older millennials.
Yeah.
Because even for me, I haven't seen Twins.
It's not a good movie.
A question: do you have the Paramount Plus commercial in here on this list?
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
It's like towards the end. We can watch that next if you want, because it's leaning into the same emotions.
It's the exact same thing.
Here, let's do it. Yeah. I scooted it up here.
Okay, great.
On Paramount Mountain, the stakes get higher.
I mean, I can't get that thing up there. If it were a football, I'd be able to reach the top.
What about a football-shaped head? We throw the child.
Gutsy call, sir.
Smart thinking.
What? No, that's dumb thinking. He's not throwing Arnold.
Throw him.
Throw.
Hey, do you want an immunity idol?
What? You can't throw a child at a wall.
Paramore, shut your face!
Shut up.
Unless you prefer to freeze to death.
I'm not gonna throw a kid.
Not built for the moment, I see. Fine. I'll throw him.
And Creed's here.
Watch and learn. Dang, he's cool. It's the fifth quarter, and we need a hole-in-one before the seventh inning stretch. Be brave. Hike!
Can you take me higher to a place where I might see?
I just threw him higher to a place where we won't freeze.
He just threw me hard. I'm good.
So close.
How are we gonna get up there?
Now, if there were only someone made of pigskin.
Bingo.
Oh, dear.
Can you take me higher?
It made me laugh. I liked it. Simple as.
I think this was a better version of that last ad.
So, but okay, first off, why? 2, like, let's unpack it a little bit more. And then 3, like, what's going on here rhetorically? Like, is this working? Why is this working here, but not for the State Farm one? Like, when do you use nostalgia and when not to, etc.?
I have 2 opinions, and then I'll shut up. My first opinion is that this is, we talk about like narrowing into the audience. The fact is, this is like spreading out. This is like, if you recognize one character, you're gonna watch it because it's like, oh, it's so for me it was Patrick Stewart. I was like, oh, I like Patrick Stewart. I'll see it. It's quite funny. I didn't recognize like really any of the others massively. So watching that, enjoyed it for that. 2, and this is something else that I think it did well. There's always this idea of introducing a mission. We always call it kind of like the point of highest tension in writing. And even as something as stupid and seemingly, not as important as trying to get up a mountain, like it opens a loop effectively where it's like, well, I want to know what happens. Like, do they get over the mountain? Like, as stupid as that sounds, I then want to know how it's going to develop, so I want to watch it. So those are the two things for me it did well, and then it also made me laugh while I was going along it. And if I didn't know, like, I didn't know, whatever show was on Paramount Plus, and they've just shown it to me, like, I might look into it. So I think it's probably relatively effective.
There was a much deeper connection between what was being shown and what you were going to get from the products, because all of the characters there are things you can access on Paramount Plus. You don't get Arnold Schwarzenegger if you have State Farm.
I think that's an extremely good point. It's low key a demonstration ad.
Mm-hmm.
It's showing you what you get on this service, which is access to all the movies and shows that those people were involved with.
Mm-hmm.
Access to all the movies that Drew Barrymore was in, access to, the X-Men, all the stuff that Patrick Stewart was in, access to Peppa Pig, access to,
Survivor.
Halo, Survivor. It was very coded, and it was a very coded way of telling everybody, hey, like, when you buy this is what you get. A good demonstration ad.
Yeah, it's also very honed in on the audience too. It's like that late 90s, early 2000s moment. And the thing that I thought was really cool too was that they added Peppa Pig at the end, because then it's like, and your kids will have something to watch on here too.
Yeah. No, it really is. So this ad specifically is targeting, and I think the State Farm ad is doing this too, people ages 30, maybe 27 to 45. We're solidly we're advertising to millennials and millennials only, period.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is because millennials are they are now entering the stretch of time in their life where they're making the most money and spending the most money. Now, the millennial generation is anomalous a little bit, because I've read the studies and it turns out that baby boomers are still the biggest spenders.
Yeah.
And so it really calls into question, why are so many advertisements now geared towards millennials and not to baby boomers, even though baby boomers are still the biggest spenders? I have theories about that. I'm actually doing a thing for Nabil Aziz, and his he has a whole thing that's going on that I'm writing about. But if we're going to look in terms of tiers, millennials are second on the list in terms of these are the people that are going to be spending money, especially on stuff related to leisure recreation, because now they can afford it, especially for their kids.
Yeah, my hypothesis would be that because so many of these platforms, companies, particularly streaming platforms, are so new, building that brand loyalty as quickly as possible as they fight and scrap and stuff for these really expensive to run services is really high priority right now, because they need to be profitable in the next 5 to 10 years. And so thinking long term is building that brand affinity is really important. One other thing I'll point out is that I found this ad way more entertaining, not just because of the characters, but because the joke was funnier.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah. So the first one, it just, Arnold can't pronounce the word neighbor. And that's the joke for the entire time. We got into a little bit, and we started talking about if this were a Mexican person or a Chinese person, would we laugh at this? And the answer would be no. And we're comfortable laughing because everyone loves Arnold. But the joke is very simple, and it's repeated over and over and over and over again in a way that's not transformative at all.
It's flaccid for the same reason that the movie Ready Player One was flaccid. The whole premise is, hey, remember that thing? And then, okay, let's talk a little bit about humor and how humor works. One of the ways that humor works is by showing you a thing and showing it to you again. This is called a setup, and then having a subversion of your expectations.
Yeah.
Now, what was the subversion in the Arnold Schwarzenegger State Farm ad? Oh, he can't pronounce this setup, so let's subvert it. Oh, he's about to do it again, but this time Danny DeVito, a character that he's been paired with before in Twins, that he would then deliver as a replacement. And so the subversion was, oh, we didn't expect Danny DeVito to show up and like be with Arnold Schwarzenegger again. Another Super Bowl ad from like a few years ago that did this very same thing was having like Mike Tyson show up to the doorstep of Evander Holyfield with flowers to say, I'm sorry. Like, you don't expect these people to be paired up again. That's the joke. And if you look at it analytically, it's a shitty joke. And then you compare that with this, where what's the setup? You have this big debate. Who's going to be the person to throw Hey Arnold? Oh, we don't expect it to be Patrick Stewart. That's a subversion. Okay, he's throwing it. He's going. We're having this big build-up moment for it. He's going. Creed is swelling. Oh, he's going to make it. We got Knuckles looking at this stamp of Creed for the Reno 911 guy. Who remembers Reno 911? Elder millennials do. And then he hits the wall. And I want you guys to notice the exact moment that he hits the wall. Just as it looks like
he just threw me hard.
It's important for humor to subvert that moment halfway through the line, the victorious higher line. He's halfway like through the word when he hits the wall. So not only is it subversive, it's unexpected because we intuitively, neuronally expect for that sequence of words and syllables to be completed. But we get an audio cue, the music cuts off, and we hear the thunk. And we get the audio cue of his sentence being cut off when he hits the wall. So it's funny because it's subversive and it's surprising, which is one way to weave humor into ads like this.
I usually don't have a lot to say when we get kind of deep into like specifics of different psychological or philosophical kind of trains of thought around like certain topics. The psychology of humor is something I actually am fascinated by and have been for ages. And something else this does really well. Everyone's kind of familiar with the concept of a straight man and the kind of gag guy. So you've got someone who plays the in-universe makes sense. I can relate to this person and the wacky things going on around them. So you have a point of reference for everything. What this is doing is not only is it doing that with, I don't know who the football player is, but you've got, okay, great. So you've got the American football player who is the straight man in this. He's the one who's like, well, what are we doing? This is stupid. Not only do you have kind of the antagonist of it, if you like, of Patrick Stewart, who is kind of trying to push the premise along, you also have different characters from different things all retaining their own personality from those different things. So it's not just like, oh, you have a straight man and you have a premise that's working against him. You also have thrown in all of these things that you would not usually expect to be together. Mm-hmm. And it's like a burst for your mind because you're like, oh my God, there's so many little jokes you can have here. That is another. Yeah, go on, Sean.
I'm yes-anding you.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
like, if we recall the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito commercial, the punchline, there's setup, and then there's the setup is all, hey, remember this thing? Get to the choppa, etc. And then the punchline is also, oh, hey, remember twins? Nobody fucking remembers twins. And so, like, but here's the thing. A lot of the characters here are like, hey, remember this? But the jokes don't rely entirely upon you remembering that thing. It's, again, it's not like Ready Player One. Hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? That's the entire movie of Ready Player One. This, if you just replace them all with like different player actors and like put them into the situation, it'd be less funny, but it would still work as a structured joke.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this succeeds where the State Farm ad doesn't.
Yeah. And because of that, they're able to lean into more ridiculous things like to enhance the joke. Like the line, throw the child, is ridiculous. But it works because you can buy into like the writing as a whole because the scene makes sense regardless of who the characters are.
Yeah. I think Tanya also made a very good point where the punchline is as old as dirt. Yeah. It's Wile E. Coyote hitting the wall. So, which, by the way, very sad that what is it? Wile E. Coyote versus Acme is not going to be coming out. That's a shame. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So, nobody knows what I'm talking about.
I'm sorry.
No
Was
idea.
they supposed to have a movie about that?
Yeah. So James Gunn and one other really good writer wrote a book where it's like Wile E. Coyote versus Acme, and the premise of it was that after years of like injury and failure, Wile E. Coyote finally sues the Acme Corporation. And it's starring like John Cena and like a bunch of like Will Forte and like a million other like really famous people. And apparently it tested really well to audiences, and it's super, super funny. And like, I forget the company, I think it might be Paramount, is just like, no, we're just not going to release it and take the tax write-off.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been so funny.
And also agree with this statement. Kindergarten Cop, much more memorable to millennials and twins. But unlike Kindergarten Cop, there was that reference to twins in The Simpsons. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm being guilty of the State Farm problem, like making too many references.
Yes, you are.
You're not forgetting.
Next ad. Next ad.
All right. I think this will be the last one, and then we'll call it a day.
Are there any that you guys really want to watch that you feel like we should discuss?
Let's see. Oh, there's this one. And I think it's... I chose this one specifically because I think it's good positioning for a lot of human copywriters right now. And the ad is leaning entirely into positioning that any regular ass copywriter can use. And I'll let you guys see if you can pick this up.
Discover customer service. This is Maya.
Oh, hi, Maya. You robots are sounding more human every day.
Oh, I am human.
Yes, it's like I'm talking to a human.
At Discover, everyone can talk to a human representative.
All right, prove it.
Wait, are you a robot?
Oh. How would I prove that I'm not?
24/7 US-based customer service.
Do you feel like a robot?
It pays to Discover.
US-based customer service.
Discover customer service. This is Maya.
Yes, sir. US-based, non-robotic customer service. So the whole ad for a credit card is like the whole premise and positioning of this ad is that, oh, we have customer service that's not AI, that's not a robot, that actually is like in a situation that is similar to you.
Yeah.
By the way, anybody can put that on their Upwork profile right now. Like, I'm a human, all my copy is human generated. Like, that's viable positioning right now.
Yes.
That whole point, I think, taps into something far larger, which is just the idea of, we discuss the idea of like the maturity of a market. And, you can start off with direct promises and you have to move into doing slightly less direct approaches, i.e. meaning, when the first weight loss pills came out, you could just say, hey, these pills help you lose weight. Then the market was flooded with them. Then everyone's making that same promise. So you've got to up it and give it a time frame and say in 30 days, and then et cetera, keeps going on. I think this is almost that same concept, but multiplied and in a far wider context and market. The fact that the credit card market is so diverse and so huge, and there are so many great offers, the thing that is being focused on is nothing to do with that original direct promise of what a credit card is for. We've become so far removed from the initial benefit of what the market is about that like how many competing players are there in this market, and what dire straits are we in that we have to focus on these specific things in order to stand out?
Yeah. No,
really
it's
interesting.
Straight from like breakthrough advertising. Like, this is a sophisticated, crowded market. And so when you are in that sort of situation, like, you often don't want to sell directly the product that you're selling. You want to sell stuff on the periphery. Like, for example, your customer service. And what I was saying is directly in response to what Tanya wrote, which is very specifically like you said, Alex, like, credit cards, payment processing, it's very hard to find a unique angle there. And like, it's also like a group of people that they all know they want this. Everybody wants a credit card. Everybody. And everybody has one. So how do you sell such a something that's so saturated? Well, you have to find different appeals. And this is one way to do it. Like, this is very similar to the famous Avis long form ad. You know, Avis, we're second. We try harder. That implicitly is also selling customer service.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same logic.
Yeah, you're selling around the experience of using the product, because the products are mostly the same across the board. And if you've tried to call customer service for a variety of products these days, like, first you're going to get hit with like hey, try to use our AI chatbot on our website. Hey, email customer service, whatever. They'll do everything to avoid getting you on the phone because they don't want to staff as many people. And so you may have to search for like 30 or 40 minutes just to find the right phone number and then wait on hold to get a real person to respond to help you with your problem. And so that's if you've gone through that, knowing that, oh shit, they actually, like, they'll just let me call them, is a huge potential benefit to you. Particularly, like imagine you go to another country and your credit card stops working, and then you have to go through a fucking AI chatbot when you're sitting there hungry trying to like buy food. That would suck.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And again, like, you know, Kevin, I think, raises this point too. Super most aware audience. Like, yeah, like when you graduate from the direct response, like, you know, selling gimmicky dog toys like Alex does. Like, once you graduate into real products that people use,
like shoes.
I am being a bully this stream.
Yes.
No, what you have to understand is that, like, once you get into this world where like you're entering a market where it's like all these big multi-billion-dollar corporations are competing for like fractions of a % of market share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, Discover is not going to unseat fucking Visa. Discover is not going to unseat American Express or MasterCard. Discover is going to be number 4. All right. And so how does it get 1 point of this? And this is a real number, $185 trillion that are transacted every year along these payment platforms. We're not talking about $40 million from BSLs for fucking Mind Valley, all right? We're talking $185 trillion on the line. So every 0.01% of market share that you can carve out from these big players, oh shit,
like
you just massively boosted your revenue. That's what an ad like this can do. Because guess what? A few people that use Visa, that use MasterCard, that use American Express are going to have a problem that this ad specifically addresses. That's something you want to keep in mind.
Yeah. And I think that also highlights the point then, and we say this to beginners all the time, just to bring it back to something that you guys can take away from this stream and apply. I say this from newbies all the time, is an ad does not have to do everything. Like, a single piece of copy does not need to sum up all the benefits again, does not need to explain every single reason why a product is great, does not need to talk about all the context and all the ways you may use it. It does not need to talk about all the people who it may be good for. If you can just focus on one thing, the rule of one, that can be more effective in both the niche markets, like dog toys that I sell to, and both huge global multi-trillion-dollar markets like credit cards. Both doing the same thing, focusing on one thing that they don't have right now. See how we don't say like, oh, brand is better or direct response is better. It's applicable everywhere. Persuasion is persuasion is persuasion. So, yeah.
Can we watch the Easy ad?
Yeah, let's do it.
The
do you know the name of it?
I don't know.
And also, I want to test something. So, chat, is my voice echoing still?
I'm not chat shit.
Your voice is starting to echo. Damn.
You're good right now.
Guys, look at the Yeezy ad. What is the Yeezy ad?
So I was starting to get echoey when I was like very excited and making my point. So okay. So is this the ad? No. What is the ad?
It's probably that.
I assume it's that top one on the left.
Yeah, I think
or
it's the
that
top
one.
left
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it's probably 30.
And it's my commercial. And since we spent all the money on the commercial spot, we actually didn't spend any money on the actual commercial. But the idea is I want you to go to Yeezy.com, YEEZY.com, and I'm gonna write it at the bottom of the screen. And I got some shoes, and that's it.
I have two things to say, but I'll take a step back for a moment because I spoke first last time.
I love that ad. I love it.
It was probably very, very effective. Yeah.
Right. This one.
I bet he paid so much fucking money for that.
I would be surprised if he made less than millions of dollars. But get that. We always talk about direct response, right? Okay. Like, he's just given a command to everyone, CTA, go do this thing. That in itself is going to make it, like, more effective. The second thing to note, and that I will note, though, is that he is probably one of the most famous people on the planet. So I don't think we should all be looking at this and going, oh my god, it's absolute genius. Like, it's not absolute genius. Like, if a random guy would have done this and said it, it would have got attention and been interesting. But we have to remember this is still Kanye West or Yeezy or Ye. I don't know what he's called. But so, you know, of course it's going to do well. However, I agree that this is much better than it would have been if he'd done like a regular artsy ad. So I respect for it.
Yeah.
777 million.
Yeah. No, that ad, I think, perfectly like emblemizes. Is emblemizes a word? It perfectly embodies something that we actually have been speaking about internally in Copy That relatively recently, which is that, like, oh hey, when we sell stuff, we make more money. And like, for real, Copy That, our copy isn't that great. We don't spend a lot of time in it. We spend our time like making content masterclasses, stuff on Patreon, stuff that's actually good so that you can help like learn from us and like get better and then do better than us. You know, follow what we say, not what we do, that kind of shit. And so one of the things that we've been trying to do relatively recently is actually sell more. And like, we really haven't upped the copy game a whole lot.
I wrote an email in I think like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And canvaed something. So yeah.
And it's just like the Yeezy ad where it's just like, oh hey, we have things that you can buy, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's been working better than what we were doing, which is never selling our stuff.
Hey guys, go hang on. Wait. Everyone watching this right now. Go to the we haven't even got it linked on the banners. Oh, not on the banners. Oh, it's all that they're also the ClickFunnels ones.
Oh yeah, we haven't updated.
No. Go. Can I do a CTA? Go to our YouTube and go on a video, like any video.
Click the link in the description.
Is there one? There is one. Is there one? Click the link in the description. It says the copywriting outreach course.
Oh my god.
Go buy that because it's going to be upgraded for free. But only, oh god. Right. We have products sometimes that we put on and like you can buy them. We got to get a link, guys. We got to get a link. Copy that. Google. Oh no, that's not it. All right, I can't. Please go to our website. No, it's not on our website though. We have no links to this. Is it in the description? Oh no! Go.
Where have you been linking people?
I don't know. They've maybe been going to the wrong thing.
Okay. Maybe go to Squarespace, go to the email you sent out, and then click the link in the email you sent to figure out where.
Oh, me? You mean me do that right now?
Yeah, you do that right now.
So much pressure. Go. Just fuck off, everyone. This might be why Alex is a copywriter, not a salesman. I head up a sales team as well. That's the worst thing.
Oh no.
Oh.
It's okay. Our ineptitude is charming and endearing.
It is charming, I hope. Let me do a proper plug.
No, the time for the plug is over. That whole thing was the plug. That was the ad. Yes.
Cheers, lads.
I don't understand what the fuck just happened. Okay, look. I don't how is this so difficult? Here's the link.
Is it?
There you go.
Where? Yeah, but Rod, you've cheated. You've been competent and like done things. I can't do that. Right, go that. Do buy.
Y'all assholes don't watch enough YouTube. Like straight up, just say the thing. Link in the description.
No,
check it out because, and then give reasons.
Oh, you have to change the name in the description too. It still says Career Accelerator. What are we doing?
I had 3. No. Oh, okay. Right. Let me explain what this is for real. I had 3 hours sleep last night, guys. All right. Seriously, we had a product called the CCA, the Copywriting Career Accelerator, which was just a bunch of videos and helpful masterclasses and resources that were about launching a sustainable copywriting career. It was the best stuff that we had in one nice place for $79. We are going to effectively at least double the number of resources that are in that. And if anyone has bought it already, you get that free of charge. You can automatically upgrade. If you go and buy it now, like the CCA, if you go and buy that now, you will be part of that free upgrade when it comes. We're going to put the price up, I think, in a couple of weeks. But we're going to be adding a load of resources to it, and we're going to be changing the name to the CCC just because CCA, there's like so many other copywriting courses that are called that. And also we felt accelerator wasn't the most like coherent term.
Yeah.
So now it's co-pilot.
Yeah. Because it really isn't an accelerator. It's more about like listen, like if you're doing outreach via cold email, well, it might behoove you to learn cold outreach via the platforms and like getting a job and doing a resume, doing a CV, like basically getting access to all basically 5 methods of getting a job that are available to one. And then we're just going to add a bunch of like things that one can do once they actually get a job to actually improve the work that they do, and like how to talk to your boss, how to ask for a raise, how to do well in an interview, stuff like that. That's what we've been working on. So anyway.
Yeah. I just to cap it out with something serious. We are not a fan of prescriptive methods on Copy That for like, you know, this is the way you must go and get clients, or this is the way you must write copy. We like to give you the tools that we know work and have worked for us, and then say you shape them to your specific context, your specific situation. That's what the Copywriting Career Copilot intends to do. Just it gives you all the good stuff. So like if you're thinking about going in-house, or you're thinking about freelancing and how do I approach people, or I'm thinking of niching down, it gives you all the information you could possibly need, or that we hope you could possibly need, and then you can take that and apply it to your own life. And we're going to be adding to that basically forever until we have nothing left to say.
Yeah. At that point, then we'll just start improving the production and removing all the silly little bits like this, what we've been doing.
You know what, though? The viewers didn't go down, and that, I think, is amazing. So thank you, guys.
I actually think the viewership went up while we were having a fucking stroke or whatever the fuck was happening.
Guys, okay, one more CTA.
Oh, yeah.
One more CTA. Just so you actually do a CTA. Okay, everybody in the chat. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. EST, I'm going to be right back here to do a masterclass on creative strategy, also known as...
Isn't it 4:30?
4:30, maybe.
Yes.
It'll be right. Thank you. We shifted it back. Excellent. 4:30 EST, 1:30 PST. And we're going to talk about how you can do a job that will let you literally say to your clients who manage hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of budget, no one cares about this thing you want to market about. I've literally said this to clients, and I will teach you how to be in a position where you can say that and have all the power, and it'll be great. See you tomorrow, right here on YouTube. Tell your friends.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, can we do another plug?
Well, I mean, we have the UGMS, but also what Rod is doing is very related to this.
That's what I mean. We to go and do that, watch our stream on marketing strategy, then buy more of our shit. Please. Oh God, hang on. I didn't mean to do that
Alex
one.
has a horrible Warhammer figurine addiction, and all the money that he makes from copy that just goes towards feeding that addiction.
I could go in that cupboard right now and just pull out like 7 unopened boxes of like Magnus the Red and like Scarab Occult Terminators. You don't want to see.
Yeah,
that and anime body pillows.
Mainly of Sean.
It's true.
I'm an anime figure copywriter, as you guys know. Show us one. No, I can't.
This man can hardly speak right now.
I genuinely did. I got no sleep last night. Like seriously, so I am also fucked. How much can we swear in live streams?
Towards the beginning, very little. Towards the end, I don't think YouTube cares very much.
Brilliant. I won't say that word. You guys have told me. You guys have told me off for saying that word before.
It's a bad word in the US.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the gay word, in which case you still can't say that in the US.
I just won't say any words.
Yeah, maybe just don't speak anymore. How about
that? So, he's been waiting to say that for 2 years.
No more 3.
Oh, man.
Thankfully, I wasn't the bully that time. It's just the Americans bullying our poor little British boy.
Poor little British boy. No, I'm trying to break that persona. I've been that for like 20 years. Oh, we have a. He's actually Canadian, but he lived in New York for however many years, so he's got an American accent. In our office, and we were discussing pronunciations the other day. And it's great because we all take the piss out of him because he's just water.
So you do what?
Take the piss. Oh God!
You take his piss?
No, it's a phrase. It means to make fun of. Come on, guy. You must be taking.
Make fun of people by taking their piss.
Yeah, that's a great way to make fun of people.
By extracting their piss.
It's not theirs anymore. They feel dehumanized.
That's the problem with socialism. It just leads you doing weird shit like that.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We have freedom here.
Yeah.
Why you?
First, it's the NHS. Next, you're extracting people's bodily fluids and claiming it's empowering. Yikes.
Yeah.
I can't believe you think the NHS is bad.
No, listen. I live in a place where there's freedom. Okay, freedom to go to Thailand, where it's cheaper to have the whole vacation and get your wisdom teeth extracted than to do it here. Okay, that's what true freedom is.
Oh, is there anything left?
No, go on. So you were taking his piss. Why?
No, to take the piss.
Can we get off this?
To take the piss it's like make fun of. So I'm taking the piss.
Why? But why are you taking his piss?
Or you take the mick, which is a less like offensive way of saying, I guess.
Isn't that a slur for Irish people?
Yeah.
What?
Now I'm offended.
Wait, what? What is mick? Is it? Take the mick? Is that a slur? I don't know. Maybe it is. Sorry.
Okay.
Sean MacIntyre.
Mick is a masculine given name or nickname, usually a short form of Michael. Because of its popularity in Ireland, it is often used in England, the UK, in general, English-speaking North America, and Australia as a derogatory term or ethnic slur for an Irish person or person of Irish descent.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. We call them paddies, or we call them potato eaters, or we call them famine havers. I love Irish people. Don't put that up! Oh no! That's my political career gone.
In all fairness, every show needs its bigot, and you just happen to be ours.
That's not fair. There's a straight white man sat right there.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
even touched his hair like once.
He did touch my hair without asking.
Yeah.
No, I love the Irish. I can't believe we've got to this point of the stream, or I have to defend my love of the Irish.
Wait. So anyway, I need to hear the end of the story. You were taking this guy's piss or calling him a fucking Irish guy. Then what happened?
There was no Irish guy. The Irish thing has only come up because I said took the mick. Taking the mick is just a term. It's like
you were taking his Irishness from him.
Because we've got more viewers now than we did 20 minutes ago. What? I can't even remember what I was saying about taking it. I literally can't remember.
You have your Canadian coworker, and you were extracting.
Oh, I was just gonna say how you guys say bottle of water. That was it. That was my whole point, and now it's become this race hating conversation.
Fluid extracting.
Yeah, I like Ireland. I shouldn't say the thing with Ireland. The minute you comment on what you think on Ireland, one side or the other doesn't like you. So I'm not going to say what I think of the whole Irish situation. And also, it's not my place to have an opinion on it because I'm not affected by it. Is there an island situation?
Irish situation. I mean, I didn't even know there was a situation. I thought there was people who lived there that were ordinary humans.
That's the Troubles, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, Crown versus Republic. Sean, it's like, how did we get to this?
I just call them people. That's what I do.
I mean, all Irish people are terrorists. It's fine.
There we go. Someone type Sean is the racist in chat. I need to...
I am technically Irish.
Ooh.
Would you say that you're Black Irish?
Oh, no.
Yes. Okay.
So, do you guys know the origin of Black Irish? Like, I only recently learned about this, and like, I guess technically I'm Black Irish, but Black Irish just means like it's a mix of like Spanish and Portuguese and Irish as a result of like the big armada that came up and then basically shipwrecked in Ireland and then commingled with the populace.
Oh, interesting. I actually have no idea. I just know way up in the tree there was an Irish dude who took a liking to,
I'd stop the conversation. I mean, I have bits of all of Britain, so like I'm half Welsh. I'm less English than anything else. Don't laugh at that.
No, Tom's is really going. I appreciate the love.
It's fucked up if Ron is Irish. That's racist.
No. I think you meant like what you were saying is fucked up if I'm Irish. Not it would be fucked up for me to be Irish.
Okay. We should have a politics and history stream one day.
Now Sean's black.
Sean is black.
I am not going to touch this one. Listen, there's an extent to my ironic racism, okay? And we're across that line. We've way past it.
So, really, the Jesus touches us... No, that wasn't it. What was it? Jesus loves us?
He loves our feet.
Jesus loves feet. Jesus touches feet. I was going to say Jesus touches us, which sounds a bit...
Sean, did you see the meme?
Sounds a bit Catholic, but...
Earlier?
Sorry, say it again?
Did you see the meme I posted in chat earlier?
No. What'd you post?
Just go to our Discord conversation.
I closed Discord. Let me open that up.
It's relevant to Jesus.
Oh. Okay. Hold on. I can share this with the populace.
Alex will do it.
Will I? Mm-hmm. Oh. Jesus feet are Christians, people for what's the difference? I don't understand either of those groups. But is how liked is Jesus in America? It's still pretty religious over there, right?
Yeah.
Generally positive sentiments.
Ish.
I don't know anybody, even like non-religious people, that are like dislike Jesus. They may not like be a fan of religion, but it's not like people are like, oh yeah, Jesus sucks.
I guess I just mean how religious is it there? Because that's the way. Because I don't know anyone. I think I know like one person who is actually Christian in the UK in my like surrounding. Like it's not. It just isn't a thing here anymore.
Yeah, it depends on where you go in the United States. I had a very weird religious upbringing, and then like a really weird, how should I say, deprogramming. But I've always been very respectful and appreciative of people who are very religious. That's just because that's how I was raised, and also like, who am I to dispel people of their delusions? And also like, you know, I've been around a lot of Christians who, you know, are that sort of stereotypical, like, you know, very selfish. You're sort of like, what is it, prosperity gospel people who like basically say that they're Christian, but then do everything that is the opposite of Christianity. You know, the people whom I think the ad that we talked about earlier were trying to target, or at least make fun of, and like, you know, undercut. But then like in 2008, for example, I was living in a church, and like what I would do is I would go and I would rebuild houses that were knocked down by Hurricane Katrina all day, and then I would come back and to the church and I would attend mass, and it was a black church in New Orleans. And so like I have a tremendous amount of respect for the work, the real humanitarian work that churches do, at least some churches. And for that reason, like, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm a very ends justify the means kind of guy. Like, I don't care what gets you there as long as you're doing the thing that matters. And for me, if Christianity motivates people to be, you know, to donate more, to contribute to charity more, to try to improve other people's lives a little bit more, you know, fuck me. Who cares if there's a big flying spaghetti monster in the sky? Like, what matters is the real, tangible, positive impact that's having here on Earth.
Yeah, I agree. Rory Sutherland actually has a great, effectively what you've just said in Alchemy. I think it's in Alchemy. I don't think it's in his other one. I think it's in Alchemy, where I think he's an Anglican, like Protestant. And he says, look, he's like, I don't know. He's like, but I believe it, I like it, and I feel it makes me a better person. And it's not a question of truth, it's a question of usefulness. And he goes, I feel like it's more useful than it is anything else. And I've always liked that approach to it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
The Irish, though.
Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
Really? Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're not real Christians, they're Catholics, so...
Oof. Well, not all of them. That's led us right back into the problem.
The troubles, multiple. You know, don't start the car. So, how familiar are you with this whole like North-South Irish Brexit, like the drama that's going on right now?
Reasonably familiar. Like I know about like the IRA and Civil War, bombings, terrorism, whatever.
No, I meant like recently in the last few months, like what's been happening there.
Not the last few months. I remember there being a lot of tension because there was a lot of division within Ireland about Brexit as a whole and like wanting to maintain, like retain access to like preferable like trade treaties, yada yada. Has something happened with that more recently?
So, chat, correct me if I am forgetting some details or getting some details wrong. Alex, you may do the same, but I'm less interested in hearing from you because you're so close to it. Basically, because of Brexit, it made a major problem because Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland had a treaty that basically said, like, listen, we'll stop killing each other, but we keep an open border, you know, between North and South Ireland. Now, here's the problem. Northern Ireland is part of the UK. UK left Europe. Southern Ireland is part of the EU. And so the whole drama was around, like, is there going to be an open border between the EU and the UK now that there's basically checkpoints and, you know, customs checking for every UK or every European person crossing that border, except, I guess, between North and South Ireland. And so they basically finally made their decision. It was very contentious because like there was a whole like North Ireland like wanted to get closer with UK. But now the UK, like England, the actual island, it says, no, we have to have a customs border between Northern Ireland, part of the UK, and the rest of the UK, so that they can uphold the treaty between North and South Ireland. And so what this has done is pushed Northern Ireland away from the UK and towards the Republic. Alex, did I get any details wrong?
Not so much. I would say like the main thing now, and a reason why this has been a big problem recently, is because not only that, but there were other issues as well, of course, but it was such a contentious issue that effectively it led to the Northern Ireland Assembly, which is effectively their parliament, but just not functioning, and it hasn't for like 2 years. And it's only just the major parties in Northern Ireland have only just agreed a power sharing deal so that the government is now effectively functioning again after however many years and months of not being a thing. And it's finally kind of been resolved, which is okay. North and South are not going to have any kind of borders. The UK and the North, as Sean said, are going to have like a bit of checking there, but not as much as was initially proposed, because tempers have cooled in the last couple of years. But it's still a hotbed of just cultural, historical tension. You've also got the point now of the leader of the Northern Ireland Assembly for the first time ever is technically a nationalist, so like not necessarily a Republican, but like believes in a united Ireland. That it's super interesting. It's far more complex and deep than I could possibly analyze with any modicum of expertise.
Yeah, so each one of my great-grandparents is a different flavor of white person. But like through my grandfather's father, here's what I do know, that apparently the MacIntyres, not the Mix, were in Scotland and apparently had just an ongoing battle or contention going on with the McDonald's, and I guess joined like Oliver Cromwell's army, the Orangemen, and then were resettled into Ulster County. And so, but my family remained Catholic. And that's one of the reasons why they joined. They wanted land in Ireland where Catholics were more accepted there. And so my family basically like was hated by everybody because everybody hates the Orangemen, the settlers from Scotland who relocated over to Ireland after displacing so many naturalized
Ulster
Irish
Scots,
people.
yeah.
And like they were hated in Scotland because they were Catholic, and also the whole McDonald thing. And so my family was a bunch of runts and like outcasts.
Super fascinating. Like, so my really, really nerdy period, like I love history, but like one of my first or second ultra nerdy period of history is the English Civil War, and that whole like period is so fascinating. Of like how we not only because in itself it's interesting, but also the effects it kind of still has in like America today. Of like Oliver Cromwell and like the kind of repatronage of the Constitution of the time, and then like the ideas of anti-monarchy kind of being inserted, and then Puritans, of course, who rose to power around the time and then went to America. Super interesting. But yeah, also when you've got a Scot who is Catholic moves to Northern Ireland, but the Protestant bit of Northern Ireland, so is not liked by the Catholics there for being an Orangeman, and not liked by the Protestants there for being Catholic, and not liked by the locals for being Scottish. And it's like, there's so many different, like you think Game of Thrones is bad, like try reading up about like the English Civil War or the Wars of the Roses or any of the fucking English shit that's gone on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
Oh, let's have a history stream. I'd love to just chat about the English Civil War and Napoleon.
Like I would get like 5 viewers because it's not like how to make $10,000 clients as a beginner with no experience in 30 days.
I know we can make it. In my 5-hour video, I used a letter that King Charles sent to one of his generals as a point of saying this is why copy needs to be clear. I found a way. Copy that show, your go-to program for geopolitics. I would say ill-informed geopolitics.
Yeah. The layman geopolitics.
Geopolitics of 400 years ago.
Probably relatively informed, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the most dangerous.
Oh my god! Don't even get me started. I started watching a Veritasium video that was just like put these astral bodies like in order of size, and like the whole intro for that is just like it just made every single piece of my brain scream at how profoundly ignorant Americans are. It's so bothersome to me.
What's the biggest planet? Is it Neptune?
No, it was like on a scale from moon to universe, put stuff in order. And people were like, wait, is the galaxy bigger than the universe? Are moons bigger than planets? What? It's that bad. And it reminded me of, so I recently became a fractional CMO. I got equity in a health certification business that I'm helping grow sort of on the side for funsies. Nice. And when it comes to health certification, like they had a landing page that was very clearly geared towards people that were not only aware, but also like so aware that there wasn't even a headline. Like there was no headline. The headline was free online convenient. But what was it? What was this? What was this webpage? What was it for? Who was it for? Etc. So I went on this spiel, and I was talking to the CEO, the creator of this business, and I was explaining like, listen, because like he was pushing back a little bit too, as business owners typically do, and I said, listen, your target market is healthcare professionals, right? He says yes. I said, how many people in the healthcare profession that you know are dumb? And he said, oh, a lot. And then his partner was like, oh, a lot. I said, listen, how dumb is the average person? And I said, really dumb. I said, okay, from -3 sigma to +1 sigma in terms of IQ, that's going to be over 70% of the people that see your page. And all those people are really fucking dumb. That's why copy needs to be written at a 3rd grade level. That's why copy needs to be written so dead ass simply. Because it's not targeting people with a +2 sigma on the IQ scale. It's targeting people in that middle hump and less.
Yeah. And worse when people, as we all do, are rushing and don't care and like don't want to be reading something. It needs to be simple. It's like if fucking you take the dumb and then you have to, times it by a multiplier because all of a sudden also I'm not that interested. So not only do you have to be dumb enough, you have to be clear enough.
Yeah. No, I'm thoroughly convinced that when somebody actually reads copy or anything online, their IQ just natural. It's like a buff in D&D. Your IQ just drops by 30.
Yeah. I love copyright. I love marketing, and I'm so glad I'm in this career. Like it's I love it so much.
Yeah.
And on that note, yeah.
Rod, did you just say it's all right?
It's all right.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You get live concerts, free food. You get like a city which like has benches that aren't covered in shit. You have like nice walls full of, I don't know what any of that is.
They're baseball clubs logos.
Well, there. Let's swap.
I don't know. Healthcare?
No, I'm joking. I love what I do. I it's fun. And it's simpler than you think it is when you get to this level, I think, which is really weird.
One thing I'm realizing, and that I think most people will come to realize if they stick with any of this for long enough, is that all of these jobs are actually really simple. It's just, it's often hard to do them in the context of all of the moving pieces that they entail. They're not complex. It's very straightforward.
Yeah, we've often said, I think on stream and videos before, where it's like, doing this job is simple. it's just not easy. And I have a specific anecdote that I want to like share, because like one of the things that I know I am is like I try to connect always like ideas, bigger ideas, to like larger phenomena, like things happening in culture, things happening psychologically or subconsciously. And I was having lunch with Evaldo, the famous Evaldo, writer of 16-word sales letter. We were having sushi, and he was talking about an idea that he had for a sales letter where he wanted to do something where it's like how to buy stocks that are getting sued, like having class action lawsuits, so that you can actually get part of that payout from stocks. And I was like, oh God, that's so interesting. I wanted this whole spiel about how like it was really fascinating because like you could like spin that into like, you know, an anti-bank thing, or like, you know, getting like revenge against like people that were responsible for like 2008 and the crisis. And I wanted this whole thing of being like, you know, this connects to so many other bigger things. And he just looked at me and he was like, I don't know, man. I think people just like free money.
Oh no. He's not even wrong.
But does that not speak to the simplicity? And I think there's never a right or wrong. Like it's always, sometimes it will be like, oh, you go with some kind of angle on this, it will do brilliantly. Sometimes you just straight up say things and it'll do brilliantly.
It's like the meme where it's like the normal distribution and one side, these two sides are the same, and the middle is the really complicated thing.
Yeah,
I used that exact meme for almost the same reason for the Ultimate Guide to Marketing Strategy. Like if you go to that sales page, I use that exact meme because I've been in both those things. Like, you know, saying like, oh, you think that marketing strategy must be like pretty simple, you know, when you don't know anything about marketing. Then you get a bit into marketing, you're like, oh my God, there's so many moving pieces. What do you do? What's right? What's wrong? And you realize like, oh, actually, if you're just kind of breaking it down step by step, it's really fucking simple. Like you don't need to complicate it. The most difficult bit is kind of deciding, okay, how do we go about doing that? But like the what and how you break it down is really simple. I also really like that comment. that's I'm going to start using that.
Well done, Elliot.
All right. I'm going to have to go, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the stream. Rod still has work. I still have work. Christ almighty. My office is a mess right now.
I'm getting some sleep. I'm going to go and apologize to the people of Ireland. And I don't know how many other groups we've offended in this stream, but I'm sorry to everyone. Don't bring it back up.
I love how we have that banner, but we still don't have a banner for our paid products.
For the CTA. Oh no. Right.
Okay,
Brilliant.
I'm going to say, Alex, please stop taking people's piss. It's disgusting and unnecessary.
Right. Foot fetishes are fine. What's wrong with a bit of golden shower?
A lot. A lot of things are wrong with that.
Now we're going to get demonetized.
And on that note, on that bombshell, it is good night, everyone. Thank you very much. Lovely speaking to you guys, as always.
Thank you for joining. Rod, Alex, have a lovely night. Take care, okay?
Bye-bye. Have fun.
Everybody, tune in for Rod's masterclass tomorrow.
Yes, do that.
Yeah, that too.
It'll be good.
It'll be good. All right.
Cool.
Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.